I'm about to unpack something that is horrifying. What people call reality, it's all fake. This isn't going to be another YouTube video full of vague fluff. This is not a metaphor. This is reality being replaced layer by layer. There are 6 layers, and you've only seen the first one. Reality used to be grounded in direct experience. You lived through it. But now, reality is mediated. You don't experience events anymore. You experience coverage, pre-framed interpretations of ideas, avatars, personality, costumes, personas, and masks. A headline starts replacing understanding. A brand replaces identity. A political label replaces a human being. You're not living inside of reality. You're living inside of a symbolic layer. If symbols become dominant, truth becomes optional, because truth doesn't need to be accurate anymore. It just needs to be repeatable, emotionally charged, recognizable, and socially enforced. That is the simulation. Brands figured this out first, because we don't buy products, we buy a story about ourselves. So that's a word that you hear constantly, brand. And it comes from the Old Norse word brandr, and it means to burn. Specifically, it means to burn a permanent mark into livestock. So ownership is obvious and sorting animals out is easy. You are being branded by advertisers, political narratives. The system knows what you're going to react to, what you're going to defend, what you're going to buy, and who you're going to hate. So layer number 1 is mediated reality. This is why the world feels off. It feels theatrical and overacted, scripted, predictable. Because it is. Empires figured this out thousands of years ago. If you can control the symbols, you just need to control what people react to. People have to adopt the symbols. Now people are shaped by metrics and algorithms and visibility and approval signals. There's a very secret name for what all these things are, and they are called conditioning signals. Whatever gets rewarded gets repeated. Whatever gets ignored disappears. So people adopt. They simplify themselves, they exaggerate themselves, they flatten their entire personality into something that's shareable. So they become more extreme, more predictable, more performative. So people aren't asking, is this how I feel? They're asking, how will this be received by other people? And over time, something breaks. Because when your external performance doesn't match your internal experience, there is one universal response. We feel hollow. This is the death of authenticity. Which brings us to layer number 2, human conditioning. Once this is in place, training is what replaces learning. And they do this through algorithmic reinforcement, repeated narratives, emotional escalation, social punishment, visibility rewards. Information has to change shape, because information creates understanding. So the system replaces information with content. And this brings us to layer 3, the collapse of information. So what's the difference between information and content? Information answers questions and content stimulates responses. Most of what fills your feed, it's not meant to be important. It is meant to occupy attention, trigger emotion, maintain your engagement, and prevent silence from entering your life. Because silence is where thinking happens. This is why everything feels urgent. You feel engaged. You feel aware. You feel more mature. but nothing ever resolves because resolution ends the engagement cycle. It's designed to make you feel like you're participating in it. Which brings us to layer number 4, fear and identity control. Humans evolved to survive in small groups where exclusion meant death. That wiring has never changed. Belonging used to come from family and tribe and shared work with other people. But now it comes from follower counts and group identities and digital approval. So conformity is enforced with social threat. You're quietly warned and you're shown that not reacting might be suspicious. Questioning the frame is dangerous. So people react publicly. Why? Fear of ostracism. The fear of being labeled, being seen as one of them. It's constant in the background of everything. And that is not accidental. And obviously, social media didn't invent fear, but it multiplied it by orders of magnitude. And here's why. Fear scales engagement better than any other emotion. It speeds reaction. It reduces nuance. It increases sharing, and it locks your memory in place. So the system learns. It tracks what spikes your heart rate, what makes you comment, what makes you argue, what makes you pissed off, and it feeds you more of that shit. Every post is a potential punishment that we're dealing with. Hate, panic, fear, and anger become advertising products. The longer you stay emotionally activated, the more valuable you become in real dollars. Fear has to be sustained. A stable identity does something dangerous. It resists manipulation, but the system is very clever. You're kept in a constant state of moral emergency. Every week there's a new crisis, a new outrage, some new villain that's prepackaged for you, a new law being passed, a new line that you're expected to know. It creates what looks like clarity, but it isn't. Something detonates emotionally, then it's immediately buried by the next thing. That's identity fragmentation. When people don't have time to form their values slowly, they accept a prepackaged moral frame. These are ready-made positions. Approved language, approved emotions, approved enemies. Morality stops being something that we develop, and it becomes something that we display. Signaling replaces moral reasoning. Virtue becomes a lapel pin. Ethics become performative. Belief becomes a frickin' costume. And once morality is externalized like that, it's easy to control. Because it's a simulation. It's fake. It can be updated remotely. You can see it in how fast people switch positions. And it's not because they learned some new information, it's just because the frame got changed. And here's the most unsettling part, as if the other ones weren't. People start to feel relief when morality is handed to them, because it removes responsibility. They don't have to think, they just have to align. And alignment feels safe when fear is everywhere. If identity and morality are programmable, division of human beings becomes super easy. And that all comes down to one huge manipulation tool. This is layer number 5, narrative warfare. So modern news is not here to report on reality. It's designed to completely and totally construct narrative frames. It decides who's a victim, who's a villain, who's righteous, and what questions are allowed. The facts are completely optional. So here's the mechanism. An event happens, immediately the story arrives fully formed, and you're told how to feel, who to blame, what it means, and which side you're on. And all this happens before you have time to think. Facts don't radicalize people. Narratives do that, because narratives come with heroes and enemies and moral certainty and urgency and full-blown permission to hate people